With Resident Evil 4 being teased at Resident Evil Showcase, a question gets frequently asked, and that is, are other mainline Resident Evil games getting a remake as well or not? Well, to answer that question, we need to go back to Resident Evil 5. Why was Resident Evil 5 even released at the first place? Because of the success of Resident Evil 4. And you can see that if you compare it directly to Resident Evil 4. It is just RE4, but bigger, but certainly not better. And the same goes for the recent remakes as well. RE3 Remake was released because 2 was successful, and the same goes for RE4 Remake. Well, at first, Resident Evil 4 did not need a remake, and I bet a lot of y'all accept that. But the case is different for Resident Evil 5 or even 6. Resident Evil 5 certainly does not need one. I mean, it is a modern game. It was released back in 2009. It looks good and plays good. But here is the interesting part. They have released Resident Evil Verse, and if they want to keep that game alive, they need to release updates for that, which contains items and skins for characters and guns and stuff. And since this is a PvP game with Resident Evil stuff, they have to add new characters. Well, let's take a look at it this way. Right now in Resident Evil Verse, you can play as Leon, Claire, Chris, and Jill, plus Hunk. And some of them have a couple of costumes to choose from. Ada has 3 costumes, Chris has got 2, and Leon and Claire have some as well. But here it gets interesting. When Resident Evil 4 gets released, they are most probably gonna add Wesker, Krauser, Lewis, and Resident Evil 4 Leon into that game. Not quite sure about Ashley though. Well, this seems quite logical and interesting, cause if they wanna keep updating the game, they need to have new characters to put in that premium pass. So, if they are gonna add new ones, they need to have new games as well. And this is where other mainline Resident Evil games need to get remade. I mean Resident Evil 1, 5, 6, and probably 0. These 4 games need to get remade. Not only to attract new eyes and keep the franchise consistent in its looks and gameplay, but also to keep Resident Evil Verse going on. And this heavily applies to Leon. See here for yourself, in Resident Evil Verse, you can have Leon with that leather jacket and the wing shooter, all the way from Resident Evil 6. And if my theory is correct, we're gonna be having a lot of characters introduced in Resident Evil Verse. Sheva, Josh, Chris, Jill, and Wesker in their Resident Evil 5 costumes, and also all the characters from Resident Evil 6. Helena, Sherry, Piers, and Jake. And here is where I'm gonna stop the video and ask you guys about this. What do you think about Resident Evil 5, 6, 1, and 0 getting a remake? And if you have come so far and enjoyed the video, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.